With Madden 26 just around the corner, I'm going to give you the secrets of the pros. I'm going to show you the simple formula that pro Madden players use to determine what defense their opponent is in before the ball is even snapped. And then I'm going to take it into a live online head-to-head game to show you how easy it is to do and how you can do it as well. So if you like videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell for when we drop new videos. With that, let's get into it. All right, let's break down the secret formula that pro Madden players are using to determine what defense their opponent is in before the ball is even snapped. So I've broken this down into 4 easy steps. And step number 1 is to count the number of safeties. So if we take a look at this defensive formation here, we can see that there's a single high deep safety. Whenever you see a single high deep safety, I want you to automatically be thinking either cover 3 zone or cover 1 man. Outside of some obscure defensive formations in the game, that's pretty much the only 2 defenses that can be represented by a single high deep safety. Now, an interesting thing here, if I go ahead and show you what defense this is, you're going to see that this is a cover 3 zone. However, if I go ahead and audible and don't actually show you the play art, this is going to look exactly the same whether it's a cover 3 zone or it's a cover 1 man defense. So we need some way to be able to determine whether this is man or it's zone. And for that, we're going to get to secret number 2, utilizing motion. Now, I'm also going to give you a pro tip on this in a second, but first, I'm going to show you what utilizing motion can do for you. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this outside receiver on the left, and I'm going to motion him to the other side of the field. So I'm simply going to hit the D-pad to the right, he's going to run to the other side, and an interesting thing happens, right? We had a defender follow him from one side of the formation to the other. And whenever that happens, you know that this is a man defense. So if I go ahead and reset both of these plays now, and you're going to notice one thing really interesting when I remotion this player. So again, I've highlighted Brown. I'm just going to hit the D-pad to the right to move him to the other side. And now nobody follows him from one side of the field to the other. When nobody follows the player over there, we know this is a zone defense. And again, because it's a single high deep safety, this is a cover 3 zone. And now I want to take you to the pro tip here real quickly. Now for the pro tip, we're going to use a formation trick to be able to tell us whether it's man or zone without ever having to utilize motion. And that trick involves using an unbalanced formation. Now, what do I mean by that? I essentially mean that if we take a look at a formation, we're going to have more receiving threats on one side than we do on the other. So in this formation, for example, we have 3 wide receivers out to the left side, and we have 1 tight end on the right side. Now, I'm not counting the running back when I'm doing these numbers, so it's 3 by 1, and that's an unbalanced set. Now, what this information does for us is it can actually tell us a lot about what our opponent is running. So if we were to just draw a line right down the middle of the field here, right through the quarterback, right through the center, right through the safety, all the way to our opponent's goalpost, we can see that we have the same number of defenders on the left side as we do on the right side. So that is a symmetrical defensive formation. Now, when we have an unbalanced offensive set and they have a symmetrical defensive formation, we know that this is a zone defense. And again, because it's a single high safety, we know this is a cover 3 zone defense. And I want to show you what it looks like if they were in man. So if I just go ahead and audible to a cover 1 man, for example, you're going to see if we do that same thing, we draw that same line through the quarterback, through the center, through their deep safety, all the way to the goalpost, we now have more people on the strong side of our formation, and they have less people on the weak side of our formation. That tells us that they're in a man defense. And again, because it's a single high deep safety, we know this is a cover 1 man. And for step number 3 of our formula, we're going to talk about cornerback depth. And this is going to tell you pretty much everything that you need to know about your opponent. And it can even tell you specifically what coverage they're in. So you can see here, we're still looking at a single high deep safety, but now I want to audible to something where we have dual high deep safeties. So 2 high deep safeties here. And there's actually many more coverages in the game that involved having 2 high deep safeties. So this could be a cover 4, a cover 6, a cover 9, cover 2 zone, cover 2 man. It could be all of those different defenses. And we need a way to be able to tell just by looking at the depth of the cornerbacks what defense they're in so we can put the right play on the field. So how do we do that? Well, again, it's going to be taking a look at the depth of the cornerback. So again, if I zoom out here, you're going to see we have 2 high deep safeties, and our outside corners are playing somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. And whenever the corners are playing that far off the line of scrimmage, we can go ahead and assume that they're either in a deep third, meaning a cover 3 zone, or they're in a deep quarter, meaning a cover 4 zone. And because again, we have 2 high deep safeties here, we know that this is not a cover 3, and we know that this is now a cover 4 zone defense. Now, what happens when I audible to a different play? So I'm just going to audible to a different play on defense here. Again, it is a play that has 2 high deep safeties, but now I want you to take a look at the depth of the corners. They're no longer playing in that 8 to 9 yards off the line of scrimmage range. They're sitting about 4 to 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. And whenever you see this, again, 2 high deep safeties and corners playing 4 to 5 yards off the line, we can go ahead and assume that this is going to be a cover 2 zone defense. Again, everything you need to know just by taking a look at the number of the safeties and then looking at the depth of the corners. Now, I want to give you one extra trick here. If we take a look at this offensive formation, you can see that we have an outside wide receiver on it. Whenever we have an outside wide receiver with our offensive formation, we actually get an extra tell that we can take a look at. So I'm going to audible to one other play here on defense and just take a look at the action that we have on the left side. The corner walked all the way up and is essentially playing right at the line of scrimmage with our outside wide receiver on the left. Whenever we see this, we can safely assume that this is man defense. There are going to be some occasions where this can be match coverage as well, but for the most part, this is always going to be man. And because, again, we have 2 high deep safeties, we know that this is a cover 2 man defense. Now, I know what you might be thinking. If someone were to come out and then call a play and immediately press, how am I going to be able to tell what type of defense they're in because I can't take a look at the cornerback depth? Well, I've got you, because in the next tip, I'm going to give you the extra tip that you need. Even when they press, we're going to be able to tell you what defense they're in. Now, with step number 4, we're going to take a look at cornerback alignment. And this is the final thing that you need to master in order to tell what defense your opponent is in before the ball is ever snapped. And we will be implementing the previous steps as we go through this, so make sure you have a good understanding of them. So the very first example here is going to be relatively easy, but we do have a single high deep safety, and even if I were to come out and immediately press this, you might already, based on our previous steps, know what defense they're in. Again, single high deep safety, we have an unbalanced offensive set, and the defense is essentially having the same number of people on the left side as they do on the right side. That probably gives you enough of a clue to tell that this is a cover 3 zone defense. Now, that one's pretty easy, but let's just make this a little bit more complicated. So now, if they come out in this and they immediately press, this is going to be a little bit more difficult. They have 2 high deep safeties, and the corners are all the way pressed up on our receivers. So here's where we're going to implement the cornerback alignment trick. Now, if you're new to this, I highly recommend running an offensive set that has an outside wide receiver, because they're going to tell us absolutely everything that we need to know. So we're going to look at number 4 on the outside left here, and we're going to take a look at the corner that's lined up in front of him. Now, you can see in this example that corner is lined up directly in front of that receiver. Whenever the corner is lined up directly in front of the receiver, he is in either a deep third, meaning a cover 3 zone defense, or he's in a deep quarter, meaning a cover 4 zone. But think back to step number 1, we've got dual high deep safeties here, so this means this is a cover 4 zone defense. Now, let's just make one small change to this, and again, we're going to press immediately. Again, we have 2 high deep safeties, but now look at the cornerback on the left side. He's aligned differently. It's subtle, but there's a really big difference here. He is no longer aligned directly in front of the receiver. He now has outside leverage. Whenever you see 2 high deep safeties and the corners are pressed with outside leverage, that means we're looking at a cover 2 zone defense. Now, finally, this also is going to tell us about other defenses. So if I go ahead and run this, and again, we have 2 high deep safeties, and I zoom out here, take a look at the corner now. He is now playing inside leverage. Whenever we see inside leverage, we know that this is man defense. And because we've got 2 high deep safeties, we know that this is cover 2 man. So those are the secrets of the pros, and that's how you can determine, regardless of what they do, what defense they're in, so you can get to the right play and dominate everybody you go against. Now we're going to take this online into a head-to-head game, show you how easy it is and how you can do exactly the same. Now for game number 1, we're going to be starting on defense, but this feels like the right opportunity to tell you that everything you see us running from the offensive side of the football will be from our Seattle offensive game plan on WinMadden.com. And on the very first snap of the game, our opponent tries to test our user and we're able to pick it off so we can get to the offensive side of the ball. Now, when we broke the huddle, we immediately noticed a single high deep safety and a symmetrical defensive look against our unbalanced offensive set. We went to our cover 3 one-play touchdown and started the game with a quick 7 points. After we score on a pick 6 from our opponent, on our next possession, we once again see them come out with a single high deep safety and a cover 3 look. We hit them with the same cover 3 bomb for another one-play touchdown. After a safety and a few more scores by us, our opponent decides to call it quits, and the game ends before halftime with us having 4 touchdowns for 234 yards and completing 100% of our passes. Now let's get to game number 2. Now game number 2 starts with us taking the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. We then get an immediate defensive stop so we can get to our first offensive possession. And when we break the huddle, we see 2 deep safeties and the corners playing approximately 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. So we're thinking cover 2 zone, and we go to our cover 2 zone beater for a huge play up the sideline on our first offensive play. And on the very next play, our unbalanced offensive formation helps us out. As when we break the huddle, we see more defenders on the right than the left, so we're thinking man, and because of the 2 high deep safeties, we think cover 2 man. We go to an easy man beater and we're able to get into the end zone in 2 quick plays. On our next possession, we're reading cover 4 as our opponent comes out with 2 deep safeties and the corners playing 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. So we go to one of our easy zone beating setups and hit our opponent up the sideline for really nice yards. A couple plays later, we hit our running back for an easy touchdown, putting us up 14. After another quick stop, our opponent comes out with a 2 high safety look and man coverage underneath. We hit him with our cover 2 man beater for a big play, putting us in position for another quick score. And 2 plays later, our opponent once again goes to man, and we hit our tight end in the back of the end zone for an easy touchdown. As the game goes on, our opponent continues to go back and forth between man and zone defense as we hit him for big plays and one-play touchdowns. And on the final play of the game, we once again burn our opponent in man defense by hitting our tight end in the back corner of the end zone for another touchdown. And this completes our day with 8 touchdowns, passing for 453 yards and a 95.5% completion percentage.